Hey, what's going on, fam? It's Michael being back with another awesome video. And I just want to come on today to ask a brief question. And that question is, what are you allowing to stand in your way? You know, while today I'm out and about, I end up getting my class ring today. And I know this right here is one of the major accomplishments that I achieved back in 2014. I know many of you have seen the video that I created on my channel when I talked about me dropping out of high school when I was going to the 12th grade. And it wasn't because I wasn't educated. It wasn't because I didn't have the smarts to do so. It's because I had a lot of things going on in my life that caused me not to be able to graduate. And during that video, I also talked about the mindset and the different things that I faced on my way trying to achieve that goal. And there were moments when I felt that I didn't have what it takes. I felt like I wasn't smart enough. And I felt like I just had too many things going on where what seemed possible really seemed impossible. And so with me asking that question, I know many of you immediately thought about several different things that are possibly stopping you and that have stopped you in the past. And on the journey to greatness, there will be several things that will literally try to stop you from achieving what you've been trying to achieve for so long. Some of you have many goals. Some of you only have a few goals. No matter how many goals you have, you still have something in mind that has been a vision of yours for a very, very long time. And to be honest with you, most of the time we are our own worst enemy. I mean, if you really look at the way you possibly have thought over the past couple of years when it has came down to you trying to achieve something, your way of thinking about it probably hasn't always been the best. That's probably why you haven't been able to achieve it. So you have to understand that anytime you're trying to embark on a journey to do something, there's always going to be things that are going to try to stop you. But that's only if we allow them to stop us. You know, there's a saying that says, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. That is so true. You have to understand that there is purpose in your pain, that you're still able to push through, because anything worth fighting for should be worth having. And if it's not worth fighting for, it's not worth having. So at the end of you getting to where you're trying to get to, you can look back on and be like, man, I really got past all those obstacles. You'll have so much more of an appreciation for that thing because you really had to fight to get it. That's just like Mike Tyson, Muhammad Ali, any one of the greats. They had to fight to get to the top. And even though they probably lost in their mind at certain things, that still didn't stop them from wanting to be one of the greatest of all time. And we see them as tremendous athletes, but we don't really understand what they had to endure mentally and physically to get to where they were trying to get to. You have to really muster up enough strength, and you have to begin to just do some things differently, even when it comes down to their training process. Some of them, they go back and look at some of their weak points to begin to strengthen their weak points. They begin to look at the things that were possibly hindering them from winning or getting to a certain spot, so that the next time it won't be a hindrance. And you see, we have to do the same thing when we're on this journey to greatness. We have to begin to reprogram our mind. We have to retrain and refocus our thought process, because some of us, we have some ways of thinking that will not get us out of where we are right now. And it doesn't have anything to do with your upbringing. It doesn't have anything to do with the money that you make. It doesn't have to do with what you think you're capable of doing. It really doesn't. Now, some of those things can't affect you, but once again, it's only if you allow them to affect you. Because to be honest with you, I would not be a life coach right now if I didn't take the first step of actually finishing high school, because I had every excuse in the book why I couldn't do it. And I had to come to the point where I was tired of making excuses. I had to get to the point where I was tired of being in a box. I knew that I had more to offer myself, and I was cheating myself, to be honest with you. I was cheating myself, and I knew that I had to set the bar for myself. Nobody else could set the bar for me like I could set the bar. Like, there were people that I admired and I saw what they had done, but I had to be the one to really look at where I was and say, nah, it's more to my life than this. And that's the point you have to get to. You have to begin to ask yourself, is there more to my life? I know that there's more to my life than this because I saw it before. Some of y'all have visions that y'all have had for a long time. I mean, it's been some visions that you've had, wanting to start a business, wanting to start your own hair care product line, your own skin care product line, start a fashion line, whatever it may be. You've had a vision concerning it. But there's a few things that possibly have stopped you on your way to getting there. And I'm going to name a few things so you'll know that I'm on the same page with you right now. The first thing that I know is friends and family. When you're trying to embark on something new, there's always going to be people who are going to try to challenge what you are wanting to do. That's why you cannot be so quick to share valuable information before you're getting started. Your best bet is to go get a coach, get a mentor, get somebody who's doing what you are desiring to do, so that way you won't get sidetracked by people's negative opinions. And it happens so many times with people, when they're ready to do something, they end up wanting to go tell, yeah, I'm ready to go and start me a clothing line. I got the designs written up right here, and you showing them all the designs, and they're like, it ain't gonna work. And they probably thinking that in their head. And this is not everybody. Some people will genuinely support you based off of them wanting you to have more because they know what kind of person you are. But that's not the case majority of the time. So you have to be careful of sharing information before it's time for you to share information. Sometimes you don't even have to share. Sometimes you need to just allow them to be able to see it. And in order for them to see it, that means you just need to go ahead and get started. And the second thing that I also see that happens a lot of times is procrastination. You will have things in place and you'll say that I'm about to start doing XYZ on this day. And when that day comes, you never get started. And the procrastination cycle just continues on out. It turned in from 1 day to 2 days, from 2 days to a week, from a week to a month. From a month, then it goes on to a year. And so then after that, after you've procrastinated so long, now you don't even want to deal with it anymore. You don't even want to deal with it anymore, but you already know that something on the inside of your heart is telling you that I need to start back doing that. And then somebody just come out of nowhere and just start talking to you, and they'll just start saying, hey, you know, you're pretty good at this. And you'll be like, wow, I was actually working on that 2 years ago. So now you have to make up for lost time because you procrastinated once before when you were supposed to get started. And then you have the fear of failure. So you probably failed at something 6, 7, 8, 9 years ago. And now you embarking on a whole different thing, and you still have those same feelings about failure that you once had before. And that's only because you probably failed at something that you were really passionate about. But instead of looking at it as I failed, you have to look at it as a learning lesson, because there's no growth without failure. We have to learn from our mistakes. Once again, I would not be where I am right now if I would have never failed. I had to keep failing over and over and over until a light bulb went off and I was able to find another way of going about it. Failure is going to be present in anything that you are desiring to do. But most people don't take failure as medicine. They take it as it's something that's hindering them or it's hurting them. And you can't look at failure like that. Failure is really, honestly, one of your best friends that you're going to have on the journey of getting to achieving your various goals. Every successful person that you see, and this is proof. After this video is over, you can go ahead and get on YouTube. You can go ahead and Google some successful entrepreneurs and Google different people who have done things, and you will see that they failed so many times before till they got to the place where they are now. You got Oprah. They told Oprah she wasn't cut for TV. And now Oprah has $1 billion organization. And there's other examples outside of her. And what I used to do is I would go back and read people's biography to see where they really came from. Like, you may see them being successful now, but you actually don't know what they went through. Some of them didn't come from generational wealth. Some of them really had to build from the ground up, just like Damon Johns, the guy who invented FUBU. His story is very, very inspiring to me, how he just got on the sewing machine and started making shirts, and he just started hustling and wanting to get them out there. And eventually he got rappers to start wearing them and stuff like that. But his grind just never let up, even after he failed a couple of times. So you see what I'm saying? You really need to understand that failure works for you and not against you. And there are so many other things that I can add to this list, but I'm going to add one more. And the last thing I'm going to add to the list is our thought process concerning ourselves. You have to be responsible for how you feel. You have to be the one to affirm yourself daily by putting certain things in your ear that will begin to help build you up rather than tear you down. Before I got to being a life coach and where I am today, I had to really start to renew my mind and affirm myself by listening to positive things. I had to get rid of the rap music. It was a lot of toxic rap music that I used to listen to, and all it would talk about is either degrading women, it would talk about a lot of violence and just things like that, and it just really didn't register with me and where I was trying to get to. And so I began to replace my rap music with more gospel music. I began to listen to people like Zig Ziglar. I began to listen to people like Les Brown, Eric Thomas, and the list goes on and on. But I had to begin to do those things because it allowed me to look at myself differently. Like, I knew I had value that was there the whole time. I just had to be willing enough to see that I had value. You know, the Bible says, so as a man thinketh, so is he. So the more I began to reprogram my mind, I began to remove the negative and replace things with the positive. That's when I really began to see that I had things there all along. And it also came to the point where I needed someone to kind of give me some advice. I had to, get a mentor. I had to find people who I could admire from a distance. And that's another thing that you want to do. You want to make sure that you get a mentor or a coach, and you also want to have people that you can admire from a distance that will help you push. It's not that you're trying to compete with them, but what it does is it gives you something to reach for. So when you're trying to better yourself and you're trying to reach these various goals and you're trying to get somewhere in life, there are going to be people who are going to feel some type of way about you not always calling, about you not going out as much as you used to. It's going to be several things that are going to pop up to make you feel as if you're the one who's wrong. But you're not wrong. You just have a different outlook on life now. Because I'm going to be honest with you. Some people that y'all have around y'all right now, you know that they are not trying to do anything better with their lives. Now, some of them may be trying to do some better things with their life, but that's just something that you are going to have to be the judge of. And I know y'all always hear what the studies say, that you are just as good as the 3 people or the 5 people or however many it is that you hang around. I find that to be very, very true. If you look at the top 3 friends that you hang around or that you have in your immediate circle, you will find out that most of all of you have something in common. And you don't always want to have people around you based off of just the things that you have in common, but you want people that will begin to stretch you out of your comfort zone. Because if you continue to be comfortable in those things that I mentioned earlier, and you allow your thought process to just be complacent and you never challenge your thinking, then there's no room for growth. The only way that there's room for growth is when you begin to challenge your way of thinking. You begin to challenge things that you've never challenged before. And no, you won't be able to figure out everything when it's time for you to start that business or to start whatever you're trying to start. You won't be able to figure it out. A lot of times we overanalyze things. And I guess I'll say that's the last thing on the list. We like to overanalyze things. We think too deeply about things. If you've had this vision in your heart for I don't know how long, and you know it's just been there, the first thing we try to go do is, I need to get the money together. No, what you want to do is you want to use Google. You want to use YouTube. You want to even ask a coach or someone who, once again, you admire. If you can reach out to them, some people are very reachable. You will be surprised some of the people I reached out to and they've actually responded to me. So you have to be willing enough to do those things. Because I'm going to be honest with you, you're not going to be able to figure out everything right then and there. You'll run yourself crazy. You'll run yourself slap crazy trying to figure out all that stuff because it's too much to learn. You cannot learn everything in one day. It's not an overnight. It's not a microwave thing that you're trying to establish. It's going to take time for you to develop the mindset you're trying to develop. It's going to take some time for you to realize how you want your business to go, how you want to develop things. It's going to take time for that. So the more you try to think about it, the more you give yourself anxiety and you worry about things that you can't necessarily control. And what I mean by control is if you can't see it, you don't know how to operate it. But that stuff comes as you begin to take the gradual steps. You have to take gradual steps. You don't go from crawling to running. You have to go from crawling to learning how to walk to walking. Then you learn how to run. You see what I'm saying? Things take time and you have to do them in steps. You're putting too much on your shoulders trying to figure stuff out. Just get started. If that vision is still in your heart, that's because God knows that you are the one that can carry out that vision that He's placed there. That vision is placed there because it's something that you can do that nobody else can do. And it doesn't matter about the people that you already see doing things and all that. It really doesn't matter. There's always going to be somebody that is doing the exact same thing as you, but they're not you. They don't have your touch and they don't have what you can bring to the table. So when this video is over, I really want you to think about what's standing in your way. What are you allowing to hinder your thought process and to hinder you? Because once you shift your mindset from a scarcity mindset to a mindset of abundance, you'll begin to see everything around you in the natural begin to change. Remember what I said earlier. If you change your mind, you can change your life. I didn't want this video to be long, but I just really had it on my heart to talk about today. And I know there's many of you who needed to hear this. And even if it was just one person, I'm glad that the one person will be able to get it and run with it to make a change in their life. But I'm hoping and praying that it's more than one person that will receive the knowledge and run with it. I've already talked longer than what I need to. Remember, if you're not subscribed to the channel, go ahead and hit the subscribe button, hit the bell and select all so you do not miss a thing. I got some awesome things coming up that I do not want you to miss. So until next time, remember that you were created to be more than average, but you were created to be dope. Remember, if you change your mind, you can change your life. See you in the next one.